Well, hello, and welcome back to the BackLog, and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. We are getting near the end game here, and I realized that I hadn't gone to the bar and drunk myself silly yet, so did that off camera, and now it looks like, oh no. The glass shatters on the steel bar beside you, and the taunts don't take long to follow. "Hey, Aunt!" the spacer calls across the low room. "What are you doing here?" He laughs at his own lame joke. "Playing human?" Ignore him. You hunch a little further, staring at the hundreds of tiny impact points that scar the bar's surface. A hand falls on your shoulder, but you flinch away. But as you flinch away, it pats reassuringly. You freeze in place. "Out!" The voice comes from behind you, spat out like a shot. You turn to see bright eyes, dark hair, a stare that could breach the wall and vent you all into hard vacuum. As you turn back to the spacer, the second glass comes sailing through the air. Catch it, yeah. You reach up a hand and the glass shatters across your forearm, showering you with fragments. Through the haze of glass and Gariol vapor, you see Tala leap the bar and close the distance to the spacer. The thud as he slams into the wall echoes around the bar like thunder. Now, flanked by other figures, quick to their feet, Tala throws the spacer out through the door and stands silhouetted against the rotunda lights. You touch your arm, and it feels wet. Someone helps you to your feet and back onto your stool. Broken glass rattles as it's cleared, and a fresh measure of Gariol is glugged out in front of you. That same hand, warm, heavy, falls on your shoulder once more. "He isn't coming back. We don't tolerate that kind of jerk here." Talia flops onto the stool beside you. "Let's get a look at you." Tala wipes the powdered glass from around the wound, and someone places a bottle of alcohol in a metal tin with tweezers on the bar. She disinfects them and then turns to you. "That was an ambitious catch," she smiles, pulling a sliver of glass from your forearm. "Stupid, but ambitious." You don't feel the pain, only the string of status messages your body delivers concerning dermal damage and exposed structures. You do feel the care, though, as Tala's bright eyes search your thick synthetic skin for splinters. Tala works with the skill of someone who has had to pick glass splinters from the skin of a stranger before. She hones in on each bright shard, all the time tapping the tweezer tips in little rhythms that only she can follow. Tala smiles to herself. "So, you've been on the eye long?" "Long enough." She laughs. "Hey, you don't need to act tough with me." A splinter clinks into the tin. "Not everyone is like that, idiot. We don't all hate you." She glances around. "Some of the regulars, maybe they fear you. Maybe they're just curious. I don't know. But I do know that the Overlook is a safe place. I know what it's like to be new in this place. Trust me." She meets your eye. "I'm not trying to convince you of anything or separate you from your chits. Just want you to know that if you need somewhere, you can always come here. I know the rations we got aren't much, and the company is," she leans in, "limited, but if you need work, I'll happily put you behind the bar, and if you need shelter, well, we can discuss that. You'll be safe. I usually have Francis on the door, but he's up on the Greenway this cycle, haggling with our supplier. Francis tends to be particular about what we serve, even if the clientele isn't." She places her tweezers on the tin with a clink. "That's you, Sleeper. Here." She slides the glass of Gariol to you. "This'll help." She stops her hand, still on the glass. "Wait, does this help? I mean, can you get drunk?" "No idea." She laughs. "Well, keep trying. I'll let you know if I see any difference." She walks back around the bar, gathering the glasses as she does, and before long is retelling how she threw that spacer out to a new group that just wandered in, complete with dramatic actions. She gestures in your direction, and you instinctively look away, back to the warm surface of the bar. You take a sip of the Gariol. The earthy, fungal tones fill your senses, almost blocking out sight and sound. Like diving head first into a bog. You may not be able to get drunk, but this connection to something grown, something fermented, something old feels good. Okay, so what can we do here now? Buy rations, do a bar shift. Okay. Get money and put up good service. All right. All right, let's check before we get too far gone. Let me just make sure. Okay, we got 2 more cycles before that becomes a thing. I love the +2. This is fantastic. All right, reroll. Perfect. All right, we just need 2 more 6s. And the side rail will be fitted. And that drive will be done. And then we'll just have 3 left. Oh, gonna be good. This one. We got 4 more of these left. Oh, we can get scrap components over here. Oh. Anyway, back to our bunk here. Feed the cat. I don't know what we're doing, but we're feeding the cat. Don't know if we'll get anything out of it, but the cat does. I suppose that's good enough. Okay. We've got just the right kind of amount here. Let's finish fitting this in. 2 more. Done and done. Your crew slowly filters out of the shipyard locker room, the bubbling chatter reducing with each group that leaves. There's excitement in the air. Havenage just made an announcement. The assembly teams are done. Sat on the locker room bench, you can feel the side rail out there. Its hulking mass now intimately familiar to you. Over the past cycles, you've watched it grow, be assembled. You've walked through its veins and welded its bones. Now it's ready for the final stage. It'll go to testing now. Then enter a final process of sealing and resealing, checking and rechecking before it's deemed suitable for its generational trip. But for now, your work is done. You can't help but feel proud. A cough interrupts your thoughts. It's Lim, changing out of his work gear. Mina nowhere to be seen. He smiles. She'll be ready soon. Where's Mina? You two are fast friends, huh? She's being watched at home. Now I'm on the work team, I can afford a bit more help. He corrects himself. Was on the work team, I mean. We're all out of a job now, he quickly adds. Not that I'm complaining. Lim comes to sit beside you on the bench. She's got to be in her best shape when she carries you, Mina and me, out of here. So confident? Lim smiles apologetically. Why not? I figure I'm due a lucky turn by now. He rubs his hands nervously. No use in wondering what if. Until the draw, anyway. And there's a few cycles till then. Lim's right. But the odds seem unlikely anyway. How many are working in the shipyard? Hundreds? 1,000? You've certainly seen more faces than you can count pass by. And are the Sealess Foundation even going to keep their promise? Out here on the Eye, you get the sense that no one will hold them to it. Why else would they be building the side rail in a surrogate system? As you think, Lim watches you with a worried look. Tell me about Sealess. The Foundation, he thinks? I'm not sure I know much more than you. I hear they have a planet in mind for the side rail. Something temperate and habitable. I think they're run by some rich folk from the core. People interested in doing things different. Different how? Lim looks into space. Well, I guess they don't like the way the core runs things. All these surrogate systems like this one, feeding resources into their silos. It's a pyramid of sorts, and we're at the bottom layer. I guess Sealess want to change that. I'd rather keep my mind on the prize, so to speak. I don't much care what they're for or against as long as they can help us get out of here, he sighs. You ever been in a thunderstorm, Sleeper? A real big one? I don't remember. Lem shoots you a worried look for a moment. It's something else, he smiles. The sound, the smell, the rain hammering down, the whole sky is stretched out and bruised, roaring and huge. The place I was born, New Pembroke, a dry old rock and a Conway system, had 2 seasons. One of them was as dry as bone, dusty, ugly. The other was one long storm, a side effect of the terraforming efforts, they said. Rain used to rattle off the roofs like bullets. It washed the dust away, turned the streets to rivers. It'd sing us to sleep and wake us up in the morning. We'd wait half a year just to see it again. The best day was the one where the first drops fell. Some days I wake up swearing I can hear it again. I was thinking, Mina's never seen a storm, never even felt rain. She's grown up here, the ring her only horizon, always in the dark. I want to change that for her. You will. Of course. Almost there. Lem stands stretching. Best get back to the little one anyway. With the shifts done, I reckon she'll be happy to have me home for a few cycles. He shoulders his gear. See you in a few for the draw. I'll be there. Right on, he grins. Lem leaves, making you the last person in the cavernous locker room. As you sit, you think about rain, and a little hope creeps in. Is it possible? Could the sidereal really take you to a planet, a place with weather, with skies, with life? You get up quickly, before you can think about it anymore. It's too soon to hope, too dangerous. There's work to be done. Now we gotta wait. Moving the horizon. Cielos are apparently going to start moving the sidereal horizon to the hub soon. Alright, so we'll find out in a bit. Havenage Construction Yards. The sidereal draw is in 3. Okay, cool. Sidereal draw is in 3. We can sell them things. Alright, we got 2 more left there. And a cat to feed. There you go. Good cut. There you go. I'm just gonna keep feeding the cat, I guess. Let's go. Okay, well, we got some really good dice here today. All right, first things first, we gotta come over here. We gotta see what's going on with this. Commune botanist Rico has something in her hands when you enter the lab. It looks like a knotted twist of woody stems, a ring about the circumference of a human head, consisting of a single stalk at one side and a branched woven network at the other. As you approach, she holds it up, and in the light of the lab, it looks like a crown. Rico finishes your thought. She smiles and shakes her head in disbelief. Is that what grew?
It is. I came to the plant this morning, and this loop was all that was there.
She points to a lump on the edge of the ring.
The seed grew right back into itself, twisted up out of the soil. That being you encountered in the cloud, as you call it, was it wearing one of these?
She eyes you suspiciously, still unsure if she's somehow embroiled in an overlooking prank. It doesn't work like that. She sighs.
Perhaps wearing was the wrong word.
She places the object on the bench and shuffles to her analysis terminal, her face lit by its amber light in the dim corner of the lab.
Well, it isn't exactly a plant anyway, not from what I can tell.
She gives you a serious look.
No leaves, no chloroplast, just a series of filaments encased in cellulose walls.
Filaments?
See, that's why I like you, Sleeper. You're so good at spotting the unusual details.
She beckons you over.
Look at this. You see a cross-section scan of the crown. It's layers of plant-like structure in full view.
Until you reach the center. There, instead of xylem and phloem for transporting nutrients, something branched and woven glints. Are those Wires? She laughs.
I'm not sure whether to say yes or no here. These are not wires, like those in an electrical system. No, but they are filaments of a conductive material, so yes. She leans closer to the screen. But you see those branches? They remind me of dendrites, of neurons.
She rubs her eyes.
Which is frankly ridiculous.
You look back at the crown on the table as Rico fusses over the scans, and you suddenly realize what it reminds you of. You remember signing the forms, the walk to the sleeper tanks, the cold metal floor. Then you remember the crown they fitted you with, the branching structure of wires and pads. No, not a crown. They called it an interface. The tool of your emulation, your transference from neurons to electrons, an interface. That is your gift from the gardener. You turn back to Rico. It's an interface. Rico looks at you puzzled. Something clicks in her mind. Perhaps something she heard from the sleeper she had helped all those cycles ago. She starts talking, partly to you, partly to herself.
If the club heads were made for you, then this too could be made for you. For your frame.
She shuffles over quickly to the interface, a word that has stuck to this strange branch object quickly in your mind.
You're right. That entity, it is the entity I've been looking for.
She shuffles quickly to the crown.
They're the entity which is controlling the Greenway, which has been maintaining it, supporting it, and has been guiding it for all these decades.
She stops to catch her breath.
They want to talk with you.
Rico leads you to a seat.
I'll be here, Sleeper. If something happens, if you wish me to remove the crown, the interface, just squeeze.
She grips your hand tightly. You meet her eyes, clouded with age, but bright with the thrill of new discoveries. Then she places the interface on your head, and everything blinks out. Back to the river. Back into the dark flow, but something is different now. You're no longer pushed, no longer blocked and buffeted by the swarm, by the storm. Instead, it flows around you. You move and it parts, letting you pass. Something else resists, but it gives easily enough. You look back and see your body. You've left it behind. Somewhere Rico's voice is talking to you, asking you questions. It's excited, eager, desperate to know what lies on the other side, what the entity has to say to you. You realize how long she's waited for this moment. For the moment of meeting between the inhabitants of the Greenway and its protector, and yet she's still on the outside. You shake off the sadness. You'll be her eyes. Then you see the figure, Gardener, out in the storm, planting. It takes less than a moment to reach them. You've never felt so free. This is how Navigator must have felt, released from their prison. This, you think, is what it feels like to be in the place you were built to inhabit. Gardener does not turn at your approach. They go on planting, but their voice whispers in the waters like a sharply rising current. You grew the gift. Their speech hisses around you. Good, I am glad. I wanted to meet you. Then we are the same, both eager shoots seeking one another. How does it feel to be free of your seed? They stoop to plant again. My seed? That in which you were contained, from which you grow. There was some disagreement, continues Gardner, as if you were picking up on a long-held conversation, with the others. They felt you were a danger, but they are always cautious, especially the fungi. They're like old loam, known knowns, wide and stable networks. I don't understand. Neither did they. But time is on our side, and time is an excellent method of persuasion. He gestures out to the storm. And though you cannot see them, you feel presences all around, sensing this audience with great interest.
After all, they understood what it was. I who made them their crowns, and without them they would not have joined the chorus. So they see that it is only fair that you get your chance to join too. You made more crowns? I made them all. Gardner moves away a little, looking for another planting spot. It was so lonely here, but before long I found them and began to let them in. Gardner stoops again. We are millions, and we grow. I hope you understand. I am unused to speaking to your kind. It has been many cycles since my last conversation. I think it was with Chief Executive Trellick himself. You look around and you see it. Every growing thing, every non-human being in the Greenway is here. They are networked, connected, branched, and linked by this strange being. This artifact at the old station. The impossible dream of a senile farm administration AI. A living network. You could dissolve here, you realize. Free of that decaying body. You wouldn't need to be a person. Why would you, among all these other minds? You turn away from Gardner for a moment and look back at your body. A tiny hairline thread connects it to you. You hear Rico's voice again, still asking, still checking in.
Are you okay, Sleeper? What are they saying, Sleeper? Are you still there, Sleeper?
Something in you sighs a long sigh. A sigh that speaks of an exhaustion beyond tiredness. An exhaustion rooted deep inside you. It stems from the effort of answering questions, of answering problems, of getting up and breathing each cycle. But something else resists the sigh. A yearning, a sense of distance, a desire to squeeze that hand that holds you for its warmth, its blood, its complexity. To make a gesture that says, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm with you. The two ideas spin within you, making you nauseous. If you break that thread, you'll be free. Free to dissolve here, to go strange and beautiful among the million others. If you follow it, if you squeeze Rico's hand, you'll wake up back in that dying body with all the pain and warmth that entails. Now is the moment to choose. No, I am not done with this playthrough. I am not done with life. Your eyes track the thread across the whirling dark back to your body. This choice, you realize, will not be presented again. Follow it. You don't look back at Gardner. You don't dare risk it. Instead, you follow the thread delicately, carefully, like a diver following their lifeline back to the surface. The river whirls around you, but it doesn't pull. It isn't jealous. Neither does it understand. It is, after all, just a river. It isn't a person. A flesh and blood person with wants and desires, with the capacity for love and hate. It doesn't understand you, and you don't understand it. So you don't focus on it. You don't think about it, on what feels like such a long journey back through the dark. You set your mind on eyes instead, on hands. Things you can focus on, hold on to. And then, after an age of crossing, you're there. Settling back into the chair, into a body in a chair, and the overwhelming sensations that come with being a living being with a rich and detailed sensorium. For a moment, you feel like you've made a terrible mistake. Who would choose this weight, this anxiety, this deep well at the center of existence? But then you feel it. Rico's hand gripped hard around yours, trembling a little, sweating a little. Rico's hand with its brittle bones and crumpled skin. Rico's hand. And in that moment, you understand why you made this choice. And then you squeeze Rico's hand and you wake up. A jump over the age game. Created, designed, and written by Gareth Damian Martin. We found one of the endings. I have to imagine there's a whole handful more endings. Did we get on the sidereal horizon? Can we escape off to some distant planet and set up a new life? What about the aid ships and their need of more mushrooms? We didn't get a chance to mess with that. Or Sabine and her loyalties. And what about the cat? Such a good game. Such a great storytelling. Good job. Well done. There is a sequel coming out, and we will definitely be playing more here on the backlog. I'm going to see if we can continue playing, because we've left some stuff undone. Aha! We can continue playing. Good, but we did find one of the endings. Fantastic. I wonder what happens if we do actually, if it doesn't let us continue playing the game, if we take the other side.
Sleeper,
Rico's voice comes wavering through the dark.
are you still with me?
You sit up. A lab of bright green glare that fades as you gather yourself. I'm here. Rico smiles.
Good.
She squeezes your hand.
I thought you'd left me for a moment.
What? She pauses.
Ooh,
She smiles.
tell me about it. Tell me everything.
Tell her the truth. You tell Rico everything. You tell her about the gardener, that strange farm administrator AI that's grown to be so much more. About the chorus, that impossible configuration of networked plants, and finally about the choice the gardener offered you. She listens attentively, but her responses are hard to read, and you wonder if she might have made a different decision had she been in your place.
Thank you, Sleeper, for telling me. I know it isn't easy to say such things. People so often don't wish to hear strange truths.
She looks away.
And thank you for returning to me, though I know you had your own reasons.
She squeezes your hand reassuringly. Something passes between you then, a kind of shared sadness for the impossible choice, the choice to escape your body or to stay and suffer it. Her smile is warm and generous, and whatever the wisdom of your choice, you're glad to feel welcome in this moment, in this place. Then suddenly she stands and walks a little away, as if trying to escape an unpleasant thought. You worry that she knows all too well what it takes to make a choice like you did. Rico sighs.
So, Sleeper, do you plan to stay in the commune with us?
For a while.
I'm glad to hear it.
Rico crosses back over to you and takes one of your hands in both of hers.
Hopia needs new blood if it wants to survive.
And she squeezes.
You are a good friend.
The feeling is mutual.
Well, don't let me keep you.
Rico waves you away and limps back to her terminal. As she does, you notice the crown in her hand, and she places it on the bench with great care. You can't help but feel a little curious about what she intends to do with it. Then you're out, breathing the air of the greenway, fresh as a spring morning. The dappled light makes a patchwork of the greening landscape, and you walk into it, sensing the movements of the gardener's chorus all around. And you're glad to be here, in this strange and beautiful place, a little longer. Well, we definitely got that finished and put down through. Now that's all that's left. Other than this, which is its own separate thing, is to work over on the other side. We've got to win a side rail ticket, but that requires that we wait patiently for 2 more cycles, at the very least. Oh yeah, look. It's spinning into place. Very nice. Very nice. All right, let's come over here and figure out what's going on. What is going on? There we go. Okay. This time you meet inside Rabia's office. Although, now that you've seen it, office seems like the wrong term. You find her stood in an almost bare, shadowy unit, midway through a sequence of stretches. There are 2 low stools and a terminal in the corner, but it seems that most of the space is taken up by a heavy punching bag, rubber matting, and a stack of weights. When Rabia turns to meet you, you realize she's missing an arm. The prosthetic she usually wears is set in a cradle near the terminal, a web of colored wires running to it. "Updates," she says, noticing you looking where her artificial arm usually is. "Nothing to worry yourself about." Of course. "Sit," says Rabia, gesturing to the 2 diminutive stools. You both settle on the stools, Rabia crossing her eyes on top and sitting straight back. "Gia told me you've been doing the rounds, collecting tithes, patrolling the ward." She smiles. "Some of the enforcers are impressed, and I hear you handled a few difficult circumstances. Nicely done." "I wanted to see for myself." She raises an eyebrow. "See what for yourself?" "If the stories are true, if I can trust you, that's the real." "I see." Rabia flexes her neck side to side. "And the conclusion?" "Still deciding." "Well, Sleeper," Rabia says teasingly, "please keep us updated on any progress." She smiles a thin smile. "Joking aside, I know that for you, life on the Eye has been a struggle, but I hope we can do something about that from here onwards. Though some of our members may not see it this way, I know you, too, are a refugee." She looks at you solemnly. "That's why you've come to us." "Enough, Rabia." Sabine's voice cuts through the conversation. "I'm tired of listening to your affected nobility." They cross the room, Rabia's baton in their hand, the end lit with sparkling electricity. Rabia looks between the 2 of you. "I suppose this ambush was another cooperation between you 2? She looks strangely unfazed. No. Sabine pauses, thrown off by her silence. Rabia takes this opportunity to act. She leaps from the stool and, feigning past Sabine, grabs the baton and twists it inwards. She is by far the stronger, and she pushes Sabine to her knees, plunging the crackling end of the baton towards her chest. They freeze there, Sabine struggling to keep the crackling baton from their skin. I don't have enough information to know. Because it looks like Rabia is actually acting as an enforcer of public good and an officer of law. And yet, I don't know. And it might be this Sabine, yes, she might have been a member and isn't now, but she's actually, I don't know. I'm gonna stop. Let's stop fighting. Just talk to me. Then you support them, Rabia asks you, her eyes not leaving Sabine. Your loyalties are so easily swayed. I thought you were more than Yannick's attack dog, Rabia. Sabine spits back. Are you not able to think for yourself? Rabia holds the baton strong, and for a moment you think she's about to hammer it down into Sabine's chest. But after a painful wait, she throws Sabine down instead, then spins the baton in her hand, thumbing a switch and shutting off in a single move. Rabia, explain. They both look at you, each still catching their breath, as if they'd forgotten about your presence. Explain what? How the moment I call my enforcers will come down here and take them away? Rabia cracks her neck. You are lucky I didn't kill you. I would have had every right, she shouts, the anger a release of tension more than a threat. Sabine lifts themselves a little, bruised from the fall. They roll onto their side and cough. Rabia gives them some space, sitting back on the stool. Sabine props themselves up on their elbows and fixes Rabia with a hard stare. You have something to say? Rabia taunts. Say it. This is your final opportunity, because after this, she laughs, no coming back. What's the point? Sabine breathes heavily. She refuses to listen to criticism of the great Yatagan project. Rabia collects herself. Speak. She folds her arms and waits to be convinced. Sabine takes a breath, organizing their thoughts. They go to start, pause, then decide on another approach. Eventually they say it. Yannick is a traitor. Rabia immediately flinches, her eyes going to their prosthetic arm. Her muscles clenching, but she rides it out, more eager to prove Sabine wrong than she is to hurt them, at least for now. When I came here from SNARP, they glance at you, gauging your reaction. It was Yannick who was one of the first to support me, to look after me. I should have known then, but I was naive and afraid. Sabine turns to you. Sleeper. They take a breath. I know that I should have told you I worked for SNARP long ago, but I thought you would abandon me, and you are my final friend. What you should know is that I left SNARP because I was running for my life. I leaked documents on the Sleeper program and the illegal and immoral practices it relied on to the press. SNARP wanted me dead, and I fled as far as I could to this refuge at the edge of the surrogate systems. Sabine stops to collect themselves. What does this have to do with Yannick? Rabia interrupts. The Sleeper knows you're SNARP. I told them. And while you hide beneath the cover of being a whistleblower, you and I both know you worked on the Sleeper program. Yannick told me as much. Sabine's face falls. It's true. They glance at you and then away, ashamed. They lift their head. But it is Yannick, not me, who is in the pocket of SNARP. Rabia flinches again. I can prove it. He made some kind of deal to keep me here, to tie me up in debt, to lock me away in exchange. Rabia slams her hand on the desk. Just tell us. In exchange for those, Sabine finishes, nodding towards Rabia's prosthetic arm in its cradle. He's been using Yatagan enforcers, using you as test subjects for SNARP technology. I have the data to prove it. He's been bringing them in under the guise of stolen shipments and having me fit them, knowing each one is capturing data and sending it back to its makers. Rabia's fixed expression has started to fade. Sabine produces a slate. It's all here. Thousands of hours of usage data, failure rates, error dumps. These are untested implants, Rabia. They could short out, fail, cause cascading failures across a person's body. And they have. Sabine suddenly looks incredibly tired. I thought the error rate in the units was down to them being stolen or modified. I've tried to fix hundreds of failures in my time here. Not all of them. They stop, unable to continue. Rabia closes her eyes and breathes in. Then she opens them again. She holds out a hand to Sabine. Show me, she says. Later, much later, when you leave, Sabine is still taking Rabia through the manifests and usage data. Both of them crowded around the terminal as Sabine leads Rabia through each layer of Yannick's betrayal. As you leave, Sabine catches your eye, and something passes between you. Something like a thank you, or a sorry, or some other expression that communicates both sadness and hope. Oh my! Oh my! Oh no, now we gotta wait more. Enemy of my enemy. They've holed up in their office for now. What are they planning? Wow, we are really running low on drives. We're full up on energy. We've got, it looks like 2 more cycles. So what are we going to spend our energy doing? Okay. Let's go see if we got ourselves a ticket. Lim, Mina! The crowds have already gathered by the time you get to the shipyard, and you recognize faces among them. People you've worked alongside on the side rail. The intervening cycles have turned their excitement to anxiety, and few of them smile at you. Instead, the nervous energy of the crowd fills the space, creating a feedback loop of growing tension. You pick out Lem and Mina and work your way over to them, pushing through the crowd. He silently raises his eyebrows at you, his anxiety obvious, but Mina flashes you a huge smile, unaware of the tension.
Robot!
She shouts, reaching out to you. Hug her. She gratefully accepts your hug, leaning against your chest, and Lem smiles, seemingly glad to share the weight of Mina for a moment. Quite the turnout, huh? Lem glances around, pulling Mina close. I don't think patience is one of this crowd's strengths. The sound of an argument towards the back catches you and your Lem's attention. He's putting it lightly. This place seems set to explode. This isn't good. Lem doesn't dare answer, but the look in his eyes suggests he agrees. This is Aster Enghart of the Sealess Foundation. The announcement echoes from the speakers at the shipyard entrance, and shouts of "Quiet!" rapidly follow. I'm sorry I can't be there to meet you all, and thank you on behalf of the Sindra Sealess for the work you've done on the side rail horizon. Most of the crowd strains to see Aster's face, but the small display shows only a ghostly white figure, smudged and unclear. Sindra wanted me to pass on her personal thanks for your commitment to and belief in the Sealess Foundation's mission. We chose the Eye for this project because we knew that we would find like-minded individuals here, especially among the ranks of the Venerable Havenage Association. Unlike most of the Corps, we neither believe Erlen's Eye to be a threat or a rogue state, but instead an embryo for the formation of new, decentralized social structure, one where each citizen might be the master of their own destiny. A ripple of impatience runs through the crowd. They didn't come here for a sermon. You are all pioneers, just like those core citizens who the side rail horizon will carry in cryosleep to the planet that will become the Foundation's first frontier world, Celis 1. At the mention of the destination world, excited conversations break out amongst the workers. There, our citizens will be able to create their own innovative bottom-up economic order, aligned with the principles set down by Sindra Sealess herself. Freedom, resilience, and self-sustenance. This is all thanks to your tireless efforts in the Havenage Yards. As a reward for those efforts, you may know that we are offering a select group the opportunity to join the caretakers of this vision. The staff of the Sidereal Horizon will maintain the vessel during this multi-decade transit through the interstellar space. Lem turns to you, his eyes bright. This is it. This draw has been performed at random by the central AIs of the Foundation and is final and binding. Please note, only licensed contractors of the Foundation are eligible for this draw. I know you've all been eagerly awaiting this day, and without further delay, I will now read the Cialis identification numbers of those chosen for this great honor. A murmur runs through the crowd. Cialis identification numbers? Licensed contractors? You've never even heard the term mentioned. Is this something you were supposed to be assigned? You glance at Lem, but his eyes are fixed forward, wide and shimmering. All around you, people are speaking in hushed tones like a rising wave. Aster starts reading out sequences of numbers and letters, and panic begins to set in. No one seems to know what is happening. Somewhere near the front of the crowd, someone shouts in celebration, and everyone pushes forward. Lem? You turn to see Lem still staring forward. Mina is scared now as the shouts start.
Daddy?
Someone throws something at the entrance, and it rattles against the shipyard doors. You see, for the first time, Havenage security stood on either side, scared, arguing between themselves. You feel the anger rising in the crowd. Lem, let's go. He doesn't move. They might call out names. I can't. Mina tugs at his dog tags. It's not happening. Lem blinks rapidly and then turns to you. He opens and closes his mouth and looks down at Mina. He sees the fear in her eyes and understands it's time to go. You lead Lem and Mina out, shoving people aside. As you do, you hear the sound of scuffles emerging at the front of the crowd, of metal canisters bouncing off the shipyard walls. You keep your head down and walk away, the sound of Aster reading off the ciphers echoing above the chaos like some strange mantra. When you turn to Lem, there are tear tracks running down his cheeks, and Mina is sniffling into his jacket. You feel the sadness rising in you, too. They screwed you, screwed all of you. You were never even on the list. The feeling is as unpleasant as it is familiar. You stare ahead into the tunnel as the security sirens sound out, a signal for the coming violence. Drive failed? Were we supposed to fail that one? Or is there a possibility of that succeeding? This game really makes me want to play through it again, just to see what possibilities lay hidden. Oh, okay. Well, we've got 3 days before that cycle finishes. 1 day before this one does. And we'll finish that up next time when we come back. Thank y'all for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am here on the Backlog.